This Game Pass title will make you the ultimate gamer. Is Microsoft selling Xbox? Game Pass is getting 50% bigger. Is there any way for Xbox to catch up to PlayStation? Let's discuss. What's up, guys, and welcome to Xbox Ready, the YouTube channel that works to keep you up to date on all things Xbox, that makes sure that you are Xbox ready. First up, let's talk about Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. It's a new game published by Koei Tecmo and developed by Team Ninja. It's available on Xbox and Game Pass as of today. You can literally go play it after this video. Xbox was kind enough to provide me with a review copy, and I did actually end up beating the game. I beat all the main bosses. I'm not gonna be talking about any major spoilers, but I had a great time with this game, so I wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about it. So Wo Long Fallen Dynasty takes place in an alternate version of the end of the Han Dynasty in China. And there are multiple factions, multiple families vying for control of China. But as chaos spreads throughout the land, demonic chi is also spreading, making these crazy zombie demon people, and there happens to be a corrupted Taoist monk that seems to be up to no good. And it's up to you, a nameless militia soldier, to save the day. Now, Team Ninja has a very similar reputation, I would say, to people like From Software for making challenging games. Nioh 1 and Nioh 2, I would say, were pretty hard games, and Wo Long Fallen Dynasty is no different. But there are many things about this game that make it, in my opinion, more forgiving than other titles in this genre. I know a lot of people out there who have been playing the demo have been saying, dang, this is really hard, and even the first boss in the tutorial stage is really hard. I'm having trouble beating him. And while yes, he is a pretty challenging boss, I feel like this guy, the General of Man, really sets you up with the skills that you need to succeed at this game. Specifically, I think this is the perfect boss to master the parry or deflect mechanic. He's armed with a great club of Polaris, he's a little bit slower, he telegraphs its attacks a little bit, and if you get comfortable with deflecting, you open up one of my favorite parts about this game. Yes, you can guard, yes, you can dodge, but if you stand in your power and deflect his attacks, not only do you not take damage, but you damage the enemy's spirit. And if you reduce the spirit gauge to 0, breaking your enemy's spirit, you open them up to a fatal strike. You can't block everything, but you can parry literally anything. There are enemies in this game that will summon up a literal sun, like their Escanor from 7 Deadly Sins, or like their Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2, I got the power of the sun in my hand. They throw it at you and you can parry it back to them. It's awesome. So you make your way through these different battlefields, and at the end of the battlefield is 1 or 2 bosses, and then you move on to the next stage. But I was making pretty good progress in the game until I hit a major wall, guys, and that wall's name was Lu Bu at the end of Battlefield 4. Guys, this dude was beating the brakes off of me. I freaking put in a whole 9 to 5 shift trying to beat this guy. For whatever reason, he was just like kicking my ass. But even though I kept dying, that was my favorite part of the game. I thought it perfectly encapsulated all the things I loved about the combat in this game. The flow from offense to defense, getting the timing just right on my parries. My heart was pounding by the time I beat this guy, and that's a feeling I haven't had in a very long time. Interestingly enough, I feel like the best boss fights in this game were ones you had against other humans. And I say that's interesting because in the marketing of this game, they were like, oh, look at these crazy monsters you have to fight. But me personally, I like the duels with like enemy generals, and I especially liked the final boss of this game. There were some things that frustrated me about this game. First of all, I hated any boss that I felt like I had to chase. It was like, okay, you just set me up for like close quarters, hand-to-hand combat. I really enjoy that. And now you throw a boss at me that's like I run up to, and then they're like, oh, I'm gonna like relocate to the other side of the stage. That's something that frustrated me about the end of Elden Ring and the Elden Beast. I was like, I feel like I'm doing more running than actual fighting. And I also feel frustrated whenever I have to take on multiple enemies in this game. Not saying it's impossible, but it was not as enjoyable as doing one-on-ones in these fights. And I feel that way about a lot of these games that have, you know, a lock-on system, a targeting system. Mostly because in this game especially, I felt like the camera and the lock-on stuff was borderline schizophrenic, but overall I had a really good time with this game. I love the flexibility that you have with your builds. You can redistribute your attributes at any point after you unlock the hidden village in the mountains. You don't have to pay any currency or genuine chi, which is stuff that you use to level up. I also love the different elemental phases that you can level up. It was very Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm Water Tribe all the way, so I went full water, which was perfect for me because it gives you bonuses to deflect, which is, again, something I love to do in the game. I will say I didn't really really pay too much attention to the story, but I feel like that's okay, right? The English audio for this game is whack, guys, and I hate saying that because I have a great respect for dub actors and what they do. For those of you who've been watching the channel, I brought Emmy Lowe onto the channel, and I loved having her to talk about her work in Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It was so much unnecessary grunting, and it just seemed really corny. So I would recommend playing this game either in Japanese or Chinese. They have that version as well. So yes, guys, this game is challenging, but if you play this game without any fear, if you really take the time to master the mechanics, there is a lot to be enjoyed, even though you may die a few times. Similar to Elden Ring, when you die, you lose half of your genuine chi, which is, like I mentioned, the stuff you use to level up, and you lose all of your morale. Morale is something that you accumulate as you kill enemies. And if you have really high morale and you're fighting someone who has low morale, say I have 25, you have 4, I'm doing way more damage against you, and I'm taking less damage. So depending on how much morale you have, this game could be like a breeze for you. Of course, you can lose morale at any point, but if you discover enough of the battle flags and the marching flags, then it caps your morale at a certain point. So if I found all the flags in a battlefield and I died, then I would still have 20 morale. It's all good. And even if you skip all that, you're like, I don't really want to explore, and you accumulate 25 morale and you make it to the boss. Even if it kills you, you go back to the boss, you get all that morale back. So like I said, yeah, it might be difficult, but in many ways, it's very forgiving. Wolong Fallen Dynasty is available on Xbox and on Game Pass as of today. Thanks so much for Xbox for providing me a review copy. I really enjoyed it. Now, as we all know, 2022 for Xbox, not so hot, right? We had some pretty major delays. We were dealing with Activision Blizzard drama throughout the whole year. But believe it or not, according to a report on the gaming market by Ampere Analysis, Xbox actually gained some market share. How much market share? A little bit over 1%. But there is a flip side to this, guys. Sony's PlayStation 5 has sold over 30 million units so far. You know, that's pretty impressive, I'm not gonna lie. Especially when you compare it to Xbox sales, which is not even 20 million. It's sitting at apparently 18.5 million as of right now. Of course, we don't know if those are hard numbers because Xbox doesn't release hardware sales anymore. But despite that, apparently they were able to get a tiny bit of market share over Sony in 2022. According to other experts in the field, however, the gulf between Xbox and PlayStation 5 sales is just gonna keep growing. They're already at 30 million. They seem to be over the stock issues that Xbox was capitalizing on over the past 2 years. So people are saying expect that gap to grow even wider as this generation goes on. While this may seem sort of grim, this is something that I feel like Xbox has been anticipating. It's not just about Xbox console sales right now. That's something that they'd for sure realized last generation with the Xbox One. Not only were they outsold 2-1 last generation, but they're lagging behind this generation as well. So that's why Xbox and Microsoft right now, they're focused on the ecosystem. They're not just worried about console sales. They're like, hey, how can we grow our presence in the PC gaming market? How can we get our games, our products in front of more people? Not necessarily trying to sell them an Xbox, but like in any way that we can. And these numbers just kind of prove to me that they should continue to stick with that approach. Of course, all this could change if they start releasing more first-party content and it kind of swings the pendulum back a little bit, but I think they got the right idea. They're saying, hey, we may not be able to beat our competitors in a straight-up hardware sales race, but that doesn't mean that we can't get people to buy Xbox stuff and subscribe to Xbox services. Online monthly active users have hit an all-time high, sitting around 120 million right now. So I think they should just stay the course, keep doing what they're doing, don't sweat it. So despite lagging behind in the hardware sales, Xbox is saying, you know what, it doesn't matter because we're expanding PC Game Pass to 40 more countries, which is pretty dang impressive and exciting considering that PC Game Pass is only available in 86 countries right now. According to VideoGamesChronicle.com, the likes of Bulgaria, Egypt, Malta, and Ukraine can access a preview version of PC Game Pass from today. During this preview period, they will be able to subscribe to PC Game Pass for a special testing price for the first month. Then in the coming months, the full PC Game Pass service will probably launch in these countries for all players to access. And this is a smart move on Xbox's part, consistent with what they've been saying about their strategy going forward. Not too long ago, Phil Spencer came out and said, we've kind of hit the ceiling in terms of Game Pass growth on consoles because there's only so many Xbox consoles out there. A little over 50 million Xbox Ones and a little under 20 million Xbox Series X and S consoles. Compare that to the many gaming rigs that are out there. It's this whole market that Xbox can tap into, and it's something that they gotta pursue now. Sony is also kind of trying to creep into that market as well. I know it's tough because Steam pretty much has a monopoly on PC gaming, and you also have to compete with GeForce Now when it comes to streaming, but hopefully with this expansion, we'll see a meaningful uptick in the number of PC Game Pass subscribers. All right, next up, let's talk about The Mandalorian. Now, Ray, what's going on? Mandalorian, this is an Xbox channel. What are you doing talking about The Mandalorian? Well, me and Jimmy on Tuesday night, which is at the time I'm filming this, last night, we got invited to go see the first 2 episodes of season 3. Xbox did a partnership with Disney, and they invited us. Never did I think in a million years that when me, Jimmy, and our friends started an Xbox YouTube channel, did I think that it would lead to us being invited to go to this red carpet, feet away from people like Pedro Pascal, Ming-Na Wen, Carl Weathers, Giancarlo Esposito, Katie Sackhoff, Bill Burr. I was like, this is crazy. Overall, it was super fun. They had tons of photo ops. We got a little red carpet experience. But leading up to the event, I just kept asking myself, why? Why is Xbox partnering up with Star Wars, with Disney, with The Mandalorian? And it became a little bit more clear once we showed up, because there they had the special edition Xbox Series X and S consoles, along with the Grogu controller that comes with its own little controller hoodie. And guys, these things are cool, man. The Series X has Mando, Din Djarin on the front, and the Series S has Grogu, Baby Yoda on it. I think that's perfect. You got like the Big Daddy console and then the Baby Yoda console. I'm supposed to be getting the Grogu controller shipped to me. I haven't gotten it yet. Xbox was handing a bunch of these out at the event itself, and like I said, it does come with its own controller hoodie. The Xbox controller hoodie, man, probably Xbox's most useless accessory, but in this case it works because it's like Grogu's cloak on your Grogu controller. Now, you can't buy these consoles or the controller, of course, tale as old as time. Xbox releases these awesome special edition consoles and controllers, and they're not available for you to just go and purchase. You got to win them through a sweepstakes. That is the case for this time. You have to go on over to the Xbox account on Twitter, and if you retweet their post about these consoles and the controller, you have a chance to win them. You have until May 11th to do so. But y'all know me at this point, like, I gotta think way too deep into things. I'm like, is there some sort of deeper meaning to this collaboration? Leading up to the event, I was thinking like, well, there's kind of this deep rumor that had been going around, starting with Nick Baker. I think it was like exactly a year ago, like April 2022, that ZeniMax Online was making a Mandalorian MMO or some sort of Star Wars MMO. I'm not entirely sure if this event and that game is connected at all, or whether or not they are working on that game. But after we watched the second episode that night, I was reminded of a Ubisoft game that is being worked on right now. It's an open world Star Wars game, is what the rumors are saying. I say that because in the end credits of the second episode, Ubisoft popped up in the credits. They were credited as providing special effects for the show. And I was like, whoa, I just was not expecting to see Ubisoft in the credits of a Star Wars show. And this is in addition to the Avatar game that they're working on, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, I think. So again, I don't know if it's all connected, and honestly, it just reminded me like, whoa, there's a lot more Star Wars stuff when it comes to gaming. There's a lot to look forward to on the horizon. And once again, thanks so much to Xbox for inviting me and Jimmy out last night. It was so much fun. Next up is Microsoft trying to sell Xbox. This is a news story that's been making the rounds for the past couple of days because VGC posted a series of tweets alleging that people in the industry pundits, were in agreement that Microsoft, if this Activision Blizzard deal falls through and it's not approved, that they will sell Xbox off. Now guys, long story short, if you want to hear my opinion on this, I think it's bull, straight up. I just cannot imagine that Microsoft would be exploring selling its entire gaming division right now. I kind of looked into stuff that they sold off in the past, and it comes nowhere near selling off the entire gaming division. And on top of that, that leaves me with so many questions, like what would they sell? Would they sell like all of their IPs, all of their studios? Would they sell like the rights to make Xbox consoles? Would they sell the name? Who would have the money to buy Xbox in the first place? I'm thinking like Tencent Games, which would be terrible. Amazon, maybe. Google maybe if they wanted to get back into the gaming space, but they just left, so I don't know if they would be interested. Apple maybe? I'm not entirely sure. I find it hard to believe that Microsoft, 5 years or so after acquiring Mojang, 4 years removed from the Bethesda acquisition, they're just starting to see the ball rolling when it comes to Game Pass and the expanding of cloud gaming. We'll just be like, you know what? Sell the whole thing. I think before anything, if it was really, really bad, they would just stop making Xbox consoles, right? I feel like there are steps before we would see like, okay, we're selling off Xbox. I mean, that's something Microsoft has definitely done in the past with hardware. Y'all remember Zune? I mean, they spent a lot of money making freaking Zune and like trying to make that a thing. And then they were like, no, let's just stop making it. Jez Corden replied to these tweets and said something very interesting. He said, Satya Nadella and Phil Spencer, as long as they're in charge and involved in Microsoft, that they would never sell off Xbox, the gaming division. But he followed that up saying, after they leave, I'm not so sure. So I'm like, oh, a little bit of intrigue, maybe. Maybe it's not so outlandish, but yes, it is outlandish. I don't know what information this reporter has that we all don't, or even like what his sources are, like who these other industry pundits are. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. It's bull. I'm not buying it, especially after Phil Spencer just came out a couple of days ago and said Xbox will exist even if the Activision Blizzard deal does not go through. It's all part of this anti-Xbox agenda, man. The media's war against Xbox. Not playing. Anyways, guys, that's all the news I have for today. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you in the next video.